I'm looking at everything else about it. Maybe.
He's usually so right now, say your name, and then say
I'm okay.
having better signs and like my last report is that they do like a process. They have to like apply to that's basically no. All right, thanks.
Make a motion to approve the agenda for August 22, 2023 as submitted.
Second?
Been moved and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor, say yes.
Yes.
Opposed, say no. The agenda is approved. Next up is the consent agenda.
I'll move for the approval of the consent agenda.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussions, questions? Hearing none. All those in favor of the consent agenda, say yes.
Yes.
Opposed, say no.
No.
Consent agenda is approved. Next up, message from Mayor, Council, City Manager. City Manager.
I don't believe I have anything this evening, Your Honor.
Okay. Start with Council. Jeff.
Just a question. How's the staining coming on the way to go?
I think that the marina staff has finished everything they could reach. There's a couple of spots in the peaks that DPW's got to get down there. Brian's aware of that, so if we get a couple of days of weather holding out.
It's ladder and color.
Yep.
Good.
So we're pretty close to finishing that.
Good. That's it?
Okay, Scott.
I just have one question for Mr. Hebler. Is there any way someone can borrow the commercial edger that we have and edge the City Hall property over the weekend? Or since it's a city piece of machinery, does it have to be run by city people?
We've loaned trucks out before. We've had issues with snow blowers and inmate work release programs. But I'll talk to Brian and see if we can't get that done yet this week, or the possibility of loaning it out.
Okay, I just tired of looking at it. You know me, I'm a lawn guy, so I'm just tired of looking at it all summer the way it is. I think we ought to be taking care of our property better than we are.
I'll talk to Brian about that.
Oh, okay, thank you. That's all I have.
Scott. Nothing tonight. Scott.
Yeah, Scott, have we heard anything from, any updates on the West Colby project? Pinhead, the old Pinhead property. I know the last time Ryan was in, it was my understanding they were gonna break ground in July. July is come and gone and we're almost through August.
Yeah, I believe they're still hoping to get groundbreaking yet this year, but we do not have any type of hard date yet.
Okay, I'm gonna be hard pressed if they would come back and wanna redo the abatement that
We're, we're having discussions via emails and text messages in regards to that, as far as when to submit the application and or not at their request. But yeah, I think if we rescind it a second time, you would probably be hard pressed to do a third.
Nothing tonight, Mr. Mayor.
All right, well, then let's move on to, we have some longevity awards tonight. We'll start off with Josh Vanderput of the DPW, 5 years.
Yes,
Doesn't always take a picture.
he does. He's back there ready to go. Oops, flip it around. Here you go for a
Look at
second.
that.
5
years.
Don't get me in
Back of our head.
But you should hang on to
there.
it.
Yes,
Okay.
Thank you for your service.
This guy.
This guy. Brandon Mahoney, 25 years.
It's been a minute.
Thank you for your service to this community. We're safer because of you.
Okay.
All right, next up is public comment. This is where you get 3 minutes to make a comment. So those wishing to speak, step up to the microphone. State your name and address.
My name's Avery, and I'd like to speak on the matter of the art wall. So you guys have all seen me before many times, but I'd just like to say a couple more things before you guys get into that. First of all, I understand that there's been some issues with profanity at the art wall lately, and I also know that my maintenance person has not been there as often as he probably should be to cover it up. So that is something that I will definitely work on in the future. During the next public comment section, I will talk to you guys more about some of the ideas that we have. But for now, I'd just like to say that I've gotten a lot of enthusiasm from the community, and they all would like to see the art wall project continue. And like, we're willing to make changes or implement more regulations, but we'd like to have the project at least continue. So that's all I'd like to say for now.
Anyone else? Hearing nothing further, we'll move on. Next up is old business. I don't believe we have any old business.
We do not.
All right. Next up is new business, art wall. All got in your packet. Any comments anyone wants to make?
I'm still in support of the art wall. I'll go out and say that right now. I have been down there numerous times. I have seen stuff that's been put up that's not good. It doesn't last long. I'll go down there the next day or so and it's gone. There's everything that was up that one weekend or got put up, I don't remember what day it was, that everybody was notified. It was gone shortly after and painted over. Once again, I think that with this deal, we kind of put the cart before the horse a little bit. There wasn't good signage up there as far as rules, regulations, locations. And from my perspective, I'd like to see it go through, and then we can revisit it this spring when the weather breaks and see if we want to continue it. But I would like to give Avery a chance to implement what he wants to try to get it the way we want it, what we want to see and where we want it placed. There's a hopscotch course on there for you if you want to do I try the hopscotch. I see somebody put that on the trail, but that's where I'm sitting with it. So
I agree with Jeff. Give it a little more time, see if it'll work itself out, but can't continue the way it is now. We've got to make some adjustments.
and it sounds like I said, like Avery's got some ideas, and like I said, this isn't his first go around with these things, so hopefully things will improve.
In my opinion, these ideas were all put forth before the thing was even approved in the first place, and none of them have been followed. So I think we already have a track record that shows that it's not going to work, because it's mainly, as the one commenter letter we got says, it's graffiti in a lot of cases. There's some that some might consider art. Most of it, I look at it, and I don't see much art involved there. And every time I've gone down there, people have walked through. And the last time I went there and looked at it, and there was some of these bad words on the wall that were there for several days that I noticed, because I checked them a few times. And people walking through said they did not know that I was on the city council, and they said, somebody needs to talk to the mayor about this art wall. This is a mess. And I totally agree with that comment of those people. It was just a couple ladies walking through, and they didn't like it. I don't know where the good comments are coming from, but I haven't heard any, so I'm gonna vote to get rid of it at this time, because I don't see any responsibility being shown by the implementers of this thing, and it looks like it's not working to me.
Anyone else want to comment?
Well, I guess at this point, it's safe to say that it certainly isn't what we thought it was going to be. It wasn't my vision anyway when Amy brought this up. I'll admit there is some real talent in the area. Unfortunately, they're in the minority. I know some of the work that Avery did, and it's beautiful. I commend you greatly for your talent. I couldn't do some of the bad stuff, let alone the good stuff. But it has gotten out of hand, and I guess my feeling at this point, I wouldn't be necessarily opposed to trying it for a little bit longer if improvements can be made. And I think we need to set some parameters as far as where the art can go. I mean, I really don't like it all the way down the outside north-facing wall. I'd like it confined just strictly to the tunnel myself. So I don't know. We'll see what the rest of the council feels. If it continues the way it is, it definitely has to go. But I would be willing to give it a little bit longer.
My sense is the patience is running a little thin on this. I mean, there have been a few instances of some profanity up there that seems to get painted over before too long. I think the last time we spoke about this, we talked about being more firm on the boundaries, keeping it within the confines of the tunnel and not bleeding out past there, and that's something we might have been able to articulate better up front, but I think if we can enforce that now, that's the big thing. I'm willing to continue the experiment within the tunnel going forward for a little bit longer and see how it plays out, but I think setting that boundary is important.
I don't know, art is in the eye of the beholder, I guess. I haven't seen a whole lot of what I consider art down there, so at least, for my ideas of art, but, I know Avery worked really hard on this, and I'd like to give him a little bit more of a shot to try to rein it in, but, I'm kinda thinking that where it's blossomed to at the point right now, I don't really see it happening, but I'd like to give him a little bit more of a shot to, try to rein it in anyhow. I agree, it needs to be just in the tunnel, not on any of the walls, any of the bridge or anything else. And, the rules need to be very explicit, and I don't think people that are already taking advantage of it are gonna pay any attention to the rules anyhow, but I think we can give it a few more weeks and see if anything can come good out of it.
Keith?
I agree with Jeff. Yeah.
Okay.
I think a little bit more time, but parameters need to be set.
So, what I'm hearing is we're willing to let this go a little longer. We all would like to see the parameters tightened up on this. I've heard from numerous individuals in the tunnel. Probably half and half. Some like it, some don't. I think that's indicative of any art. Some of it's art and some of it's terrible graffiti. We knew this was an experiment when we started this. I still think it has great potential. I'd like to see it continue. At least, you're saying a couple weeks, you're saying a little while. To me, I would like to see it go until the season's over for painting and then sit down and decide what we want to do with the rules. And I think we all know there's an election coming up and there's potential for some new voices on this council. I would certainly say let's defer to those, the next council will make the final decision, because they're certainly the ones that are gonna have to live with it. Yes?
Just one comment, one more comment. Whoever is gonna be in charge of this thing, the bad stuff has to be covered by somebody, and the north and south facing walls, which are defaced, and the bridge itself, somebody has to be responsible for doing this stuff, and I don't think this ought to be placed on the city council or on the city DPW to do it. I think that the people that want this wall should be the ones going down there and painting over the stuff that's not supposed to be there. That's my opinion.
All right, I think we've come to a general consensus on this, that we're just gonna hold off at this point. I would certainly ask the public and individuals using that space to respect our wishes, that it stays within the boundaries that we've asked for and the obscenities cease. I'm sure it's not going to, because there's people are gonna hear us say we don't want that and they're gonna do it just in spite of us. But I don't want a few bad words to ruin what I think is a very interesting art project. I think it's brought people to the community to see it and want to see it. With that, we will move on to the next.
Mayor,
Yes.
before we move on, just for clarification, the parameters are the tunnel itself, correct? And I know we talked about this at the last council meeting, so the MDOT bridge is off limits.
It's off limits.
The south facing wall is off limits. The north facing wall is off limits, and then the retaining walls are off limits.
So
The retaining walls that run, they kind of angle down, but they
Right.
run out of the tunnel, mainly on the west side.
I thought before we talked about keeping that one, but we talked about getting rid of the north and south.
And the bridge.
That's my recollection.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I would say, absent objection by council or direction otherwise, the Public Works Department is ready to go ahead and cover up those off-limit areas. And I understand what you're saying, Councilmember Sickinga, but at this point, I would feel more comfortable having DPW with the proper scaffolding and equipment to paint over. Not quite. I'm assuming the bridge got painted by people leaning over. I don't think it's going to be a huge cost or in manpower or paint to get it back within the boundaries where I think we're heading.
Question on that paint. I understand that there's paint that is resistant to being painted over that can be used so that if somebody did paint on it, you can basically go up there with a wet cloth and wipe it off. Is that what they're going to use?
That's what they advertise. It is, there's no such thing as vandal proof, but it does make it tougher to paint over. And we've been using that in the tunnel for years, with quite a bit of success. But pretty much you have to paint over it. So that's just what I would add to this conversation. Just
Now,
to,
are we gonna come up with rules that are gonna be posted?
there is a small rules sign which got painted over.
Yeah.
So we'll work with Mr. Jura and his maintenance person and have those two coordinate with DPW to get the proper signage up. And it's a learning lesson. If people are going outside the boundaries and it gets painted over with just plain paint versus graffiti, eventually it's going to be a training process. But yes, we'll get as much signage down there as we can.
You know, the more, I mean, the people that are probably breaking the rules right now don't pay any attention to us or the news. So, you know, they don't really care what we're saying right now. There's got to be a way for them to know what the new rules are.
Yes.
So the sooner we can get something posted, I mean, the better off we're going to be. I just hate to have to see us send a DPW crew down there to paint over everything that shouldn't be painted on right now and not put up the proper signage and have to go back a week later and paint it again.
Yeah, we'll do both at the same time. You're correct. We don't want to paint it tomorrow without signs and people think that they can paint over what we just painted over.
If they break the rules, then is that considered vandalism? Could they be?
We do have ordinances on the books that could address this. One is for fines, and the other is actually a misdemeanor. But I think, you know, we're probably not going to write tickets for the first kid or adult that spray paints outside the boundaries. We all know growing up how tough it was with coloring books to stay in the boundaries. So we'll just work on that. Unless people are knowingly violating the rules, we're just going to have to re-educate.
And the most important thing is get that fresh coat on the north and south walls there, because that's what sets the expectation.
Yes.
People see a piece of graffiti go up, and if it stays there for a while, that's almost like a license to do more. So.
Absolutely. So we'll get on it as quickly as possible.
And certainly, as far as your concerns, you said in the beginning that anyone can paint there. If you find something offensive, you can cover it up. I have a can of black spray paint that I've covered things up that offended me personally. So
Buy the paint.
I bought it.
I don't want to buy it.
And keep in mind too that's an intentional thing, that you don't have to go through that tunnel to view that. So if you find it offensive, you can go around it.
Oh.
You know, I mean,
I don't know if I like that answer. A lot of people use the tunnel.
they do.
Don't like it.
They do. And a lot of people have used that tunnel and said they really like it. So here we are trying to come up with a compromise to please everybody, and the government can't do that.
They're gonna have to cross the road if they don't want to go through it. So
I hope no nobody feels that strongly that they wanna go around it, but. All right. Said enough about that. MML designation of voting delegate. Scott, would you like to? give us
Yes, the Michigan Municipal League will be having their annual business meeting at the convention this fall in Traverse City. They always ask for a voting delegate and an alternate from communities that will be attending. And I believe that the mayor has already mentioned that he intends to attend. And if any other council members want to go, I will tell you that the meetings have not been as long as they have been in the past. There used to be a fight over not being the voting delegate, but I think the mayor's gone to a couple. I have. It's a lot more streamlined. You know, if there's any policies or any other items that need to come before the board, they actually do it in a very expeditious manner. So we're looking for council to appoint a representative and an alternate.
anyone that would like to go? It's my intention to go, but if anyone wants to be an alternate,
Does it have to be a council person?
and my understanding it has to be an elected official.
You've been the alternate before, haven't you?
Yeah, it doesn't necessarily have to be an elected official.
Oh, okay.
That's why he's not over there.
So I guess what we're getting done, are you going, Scott?
I will likely go and would be willing to serve as the alternate in the mayor's absence.
I will make a motion to appoint Mayor Salter as the voting delegate and Scott Bueller as the alternate.
Okay.
Okay, moved and seconded, all those in favor say yes.
Yes.
Opposed say no. See you there. All right. Resolution 2328 Recreation Passport Grant Program.
I will move resolution 2328 recreational passport grant program for G Park upgrades.
A second.
Been moved in second, is there any discussion?
This is just to be able to fill out the paperwork for the grant, or the grant has already been granted.
Neither.
Neither.
We have made application for both of these. And the state of Michigan, the DNR staff goes through and does an administrative review. One of the things that they clipped us on, and we have till October 1st to submit any additional information or items they've requested, was that you've already passed a resolution for both of these grants back, probably back in March. We didn't do it in their format. So this says everything you've already said in the prior resolutions, it's just in their format. And I think we just did that with the commercial rehab abatement as well.
We're just complying with the state again. It's a
Yeah,
formality.
we are. Yep.
If no further discussion,
I'll make a motion to approve. Did somebody already?
been
Yeah.
moved,
Okay.
been moved and seconded.
down there.
Okay.
Roll call please.
Holmstrom,
Yes.
Heidelberg,
Yes.
Sittenga,
Yes.
Connell,
Yes,
Mullally,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Salter.
Yes. Next is resolution 2329 Recreation Passport Grant Match Funds.
I'll make a motion to approve resolution 2329 for recreation passport grant program for Goodrich Park.
second?
Moved in second, is there any discussion? Roll call please.
Sittenga,
Yes.
Connell,
Yes,
Mullally,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Holmstrom,
Yes.
Heidelberg,
Yes.
Salter.
Yes. Next is resolution 2330 City Fees.
I'll move to accept resolution 2330, city fees.
Second.
Been moved in second, is there any discussion on this?
Yeah.
Okay,
The deer control eligibility property fee for $20 and deer hunting permit for 35. They're doing us a favor as far as I'm concerned. I think maybe a little high, maybe 15, 10, somewhere in that range. I mean, I don't want to discourage people from doing this.
Kind of agree the same thing. I mean, we're trying to eliminate some of the deer out of the city. Person's gotta go buy a deer license to begin with and then has more fees on top of it. You know, you're getting to the point where the meat that they're gonna get isn't even, I mean, they're gonna be paying $5 a pound for it.
It's 20, honestly, I think 28 something for a combo license.
Yeah.
Plus the passport, I think it's another 10. So
My sense is this is a problem that we're trying to solve, and I don't expect hundreds of people beating that down the door anyway for this. We might get a few. I don't know that it would even break the budget if we just waived these fees entirely. If we get a few more deer off the property, that's going to be a blessing to a lot of our people trying to control their landscape.
What is the idea with the hunting permit? Is that for one deer per deer, or how is it?
That is just basically for the season is the way we're looking at it. Brendan and I reviewed Montague's fees, and I believe they're 10 and 25, plus an additional, if you come back, if you get a doe, you can come back and get a buck license. We're just trying to simplify it. One fee for the property for the season, one fee for the hunters for the season. Whether you, I don't want to throw numbers out because I might go over, I'm not a hunter. I don't want to say whether you get 20 deer or not. It's probably too many per license. So we're just trying to keep it simple. You know, just one license, come in once, and that covers you for the season.
So it's per person then? The hunting permit?
Yes, yep. And the eligible property would be for each parcel. So if you had 6 people with 1 acre get together, then it would be $20 per parcel.
Other, if you have something on a deer, go ahead.
No, I'm
My other question is, what exactly is a exemption certificate?
Those are your tax abatements. Officially, they're called exemption certificates, not tax abatements, and that would cover commercial, which we've done one for. We've already talked about that for the 201 West Colby for any industries. Primarily, that's a fee to cover our expenses. We have to do an advertisement, and I don't even know where the ads are these days, but $300 doesn't cover our cost.
Okay, thank you.
So what's the wish of the council to, do you wanna leave these fees as, or do you wanna?
I think I'd like to see them lower. I don't.
I agree with Sean, and I'd like to see the ones for deer just be eliminated. Let us eat it, and I mean, we're trying to do something here, and if we keep making it, putting monetary stuff on it for people, we're not gonna be eliminating any deer out of the city, so. I already think it's too restrictive at 6 acres to begin with, so. I'd like to see it be no fees whatsoever, just fill out the paperwork and we eat the cost.
I mean, is there even much of a cost for us to eat other than having someone fill out a piece of paper?
Brenda's time, which is very invaluable to process.
Very valuable.
Is it valuable or invaluable?
We value your time.
there you go.
So there, it's not a cost. It's not a revenue generator by any means, nor is it going to be prohibitive if they are waived.
I guess the way I look at it also, I mean, if it becomes an issue, you know, if we have 100 people come in and it causes issues, we can revisit it.
Being, with that 6 acre limitation, I just don't think we're gonna have very many people offering the property up for hunting.
I don't know.
Yeah, I'd like to see it eliminated. at least this first year, we can, you know, if we have a run on it this year, we can go back and.
Right.
and
We
put
can
it
adjust
beyond
any
this year.
ordinance.
If they have to register with the city anyway, I think that there ought to be a minimal, you know, maybe $5 to $15 or 10 and 15 or something like that, just so that people realize that they have to register.
Well, the
with
garage
city
sale
to
permit's
go
$1, Steve. I mean, that's essentially,
Okay, well, they have to put their name in. though.
Yep,
Okay,
yep.
so we'll make it $1. We just have something so that people don't just say, well, it doesn't cost anything to go on Whitehall, let's just go on and then never register with the city and just.
Well, they still
Wow.
have a license.
Well, yeah, they still
So
have to
Scott-
have a license for sure.
were we looking at making like a 2-part form that they carry something on them that says that they filled this out or not? I don't know,
We would give them a copy of their application once it's approved for both the property and the hunter.
I believe Montague has a small
like a 2-parter.
card that they get issued, that they have to report any kill that they have, so I think we certainly wanna know
See
how many
how
deer
programs
have
work.
been taken.
I think, yeah,
Right,
absolutely.
If it's not your own property, they can maybe put it in their windshield when they're hunting there too, so that everybody would know that,
Or carry it on if they're licensed. I mean, you know,
yeah.
they do have, licenses are online now. You can keep them on your phone, but the majority of us haven't done it in a while, just keep the license in their pocket as well. So,
I used to hunt DuPont property because they allowed it for ex-DuPonters only. But you had to put something in your windshield whenever you were out there hunting that said, you know, you were permitted. It didn't cost anything, but you had to do that permit.
Keith, you wanna weigh in?
I'm good with zeroing it out.
Maybe we should charge them $10 to get a permit to hunt. And if they take a deer, we'll pay them back 15.
I'll pay on the deer.
Hey, $5 to give
There you
them
go.
one.
So
That should
what-
be.
We have a motion on the table to approve the city fees. So if we're going to change this, then we have to make a motion to rescind the motion or
Amend it.
You could amend,
amend the motion.
What do we want, what are we gonna
Want it
amend
now
it?
or we want nothing?
What, we gonna amend it to nothing, or are we gonna amend it to $1, or what are we gonna do?
I say 0.
0?
Alright, I'll make that motion. We amend the two, for this year, what are we at here? For the, make sure I get them called right. Deer control eligible property, fee and the deer control hunting permit, no fee, for this year.
Second.
Seconded. Is there any further discussion? Once again, this is an experiment that we're doing here. Hopefully this experiment turns out better than the last one, but I'm okay with letting it go like this, so roll call please.
Holmstrom?
This is on the amendment, right?
This is the
Yeah, this
amendment.
is on the-
Yes.
No fees. Yes.
Holmstrom?
Yes. Sorry.
No, you're fine. Malali?
Yes.
Connell?
Yes,
Sittinga?
Yes.
Heidelberg?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Salter?
Yes. Resolution 2331, capital improvement.
I'll move to adopt resolution 2331.
yeah,
We need to vote on the whole thing today.
gotta vote in.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Right.
because there's that tax exempt permits in there.
Yeah, so that was just a 0 plus fees. Now we're gonna. So we need a motion to do the whole thing.
So now we're on the motion.
Make a new motion to, for 2330.
Amended fees schedule.
You go back to that one.
Is that what we're doing?
Yeah, there was originally a motion
By Connell.
for
and,
2330.
Yes.
Yep. So now there was an amendment, so we don't need another motion and support. They just now vote on it 2330.
In that order, okay. So that would be Connell,
Yes.
and Malali,
Yes.
Holmstrom,
Yes.
Heidelberg,
Yes.
Signiga,
Yes.
Connell. Already did him. Brown,
Yes.
sorry, and Salter.
Yes. So now we voted to approve the amended overall city fees.
Yes.
First one was to eliminate the deer fees. Okay. So now we're at 2331, capital improvement, and I believe you
Motion to
motion
accept
to
it.
approve. Do we have a
Second.
Second, moved and seconded. Is there any discussion?
I got one. Scott, I thought we had some correspondence with Warner Street that we were pushing to do that for 2024. Now I see this is calling 2025.
Typo
Typo where?
on
In the
2025.
correspondence or-
We're still looking at 2024, doing this next summer.
Thank you.
So that's, I mean, I guess at this point, that's a revelation of information that hasn't been available.
Not to the general public. I know that Brian Armstrong and I were going over the numbers and trying making it work so we can move the project up a whole summer. I think I relayed something to council that we were confident we could do that. And in fact, with these numbers, the engineer came back with a revised overall budget, and it looks like it's going to be about $200,000 less. So our confidence level in the city being able to finance Warner Street next summer continues to go up. So yes, it is a Warner Street 2024 project.
All those people that are howling about Warner Street, that should be very good news.
Yeah, I don't know how many people I've told it's next year.
Yes.
When I saw this, it said 25, I thought, oh God, here we go.
Very happy to be able to tell people that. All right.
And if we wait till after July, technically we'll be in 25 as far as our budget.
It'll span 2 fiscal years.
Yes.
Does that have to have any kind of an amended motion because the year's wrong on that?
No, in fact, you're voting on this in August 22, 2023, not 2022 on the bottom. You know, when you pull up old resolutions, sometimes you miss a couple of things, so that's on me. So I don't believe you need to change the resolution. It will reflect Warner Street in 2024 in 2 locations and today's year of 2023.
Anything further? Roll call, please.
Heidelberg,
Yes.
Holmstrom,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Malali,
Yes.
Connell,
Yes.
Signiga,
Yes.
and Salter.
Yes. Approved. Last up is public comment. Anyone want to speak?
All right. So I got a couple more things to say. I just want to first let you guys know that this is actually the day before I leave for college. So I won't be around a lot, but I will definitely still be influencing this project as much as possible. I'll definitely be in contact with my crew, and I hope to expand my crew and get a couple more members in so we can have a few more people in the maintenance crew, and so we can like hopefully go and do like a sweep weekly would be my hope, but we'll see how that goes. So I with the profanity problem, I've got a couple of different ideas that I'd like to try to implement. First being that simply expanding my crew and our resources. We'd like to do we I don't know if any of you are aware of this, but we did like a little fundraiser at one point during one of the events. I wasn't there because I was on a rock climbing trip, but my crew had a table out and they were selling paint for a small upcharge, and we made $30 profit for the organization, which we then used for the sign. But we're also going to try and build a new sign because it's going to be painted over. We're also going to use protective measures on the sign so that it could be like removed, like something that like a film to go over the top, So if it gets painted over again, you just take the film off and put a new one back on, and that way it can stay up and you won't have to repaint it every time, because that was a pain and took a long time. I would not like to do this, but if this winter or something you guys decide that the wall has gotten too far out of hand and you're no longer willing to allow it to continue, I would propose the idea of having an application process of some sort. Mr. Salter, when I first came in, you proposed the idea of something that you've seen in Grand Rapids, where they had like different sections, and you could like apply to have like a section, and then there was like a different piece per section. We could do something similar to that, but that, in my opinion, kind of ruins some of the free expression. I'd like to share a quick story with you guys. I was out there painting a couple of weeks ago, and a young kid, he was probably about 10 or 11, he was out there and he had his mom buy him some paint. He didn't have spray paint, it was like acrylic paint, and he drew like some little like animals on the wall, and he was like watching me paint. He was like, "Hey, you want to see what I did?" And I was like, "Sure, like show me." And it wasn't great. I mean, Mr. Conley, you're talking about how, you know, you struggle with some art sometimes. And so I know that a lot of the times, a lot of the stuff out there doesn't look great, but the point of it is that anyone can do it regardless of their talent level, and it's just it's a canvas for everybody. And so regardless of the skill level of the people that are painting on it, I think that it's important that it's there just so that everyone feels like they have a part in it. And I think that the beauty of the wall isn't in the talent of the individuals, but in the collectiveness of the community and how everyone comes together to just put a little bit there every once in a while. So, yeah, that's about all I've got to say.
Hey everyone, if I may, Mr. Chair, is the Facebook page still up, or did that?
Yeah, the Facebook page is still up, and I will add, as like tonight, I'll add the new restrictions as far as where you guys don't want people painting, and after that gets painted and signed up, then we can have people stop painting there and have people notified about that.
And so the public's aware of what's the name of the Facebook page?
It's called Inspiration Art Wall. It's also an Instagram page.
Okay.
No capitals, no spaces.
Got it.
Any other questions? All right. I've also got a couple of other people that I brought with me who are just some positivity that they'd like to share it with you guys. So, thank you.
I'm Seth. I have not been here before. I am new, but I have had a lot of like positivity from the art wall that I've seen. Of course, we have seen like a lot of different communities and that come in and just kind of do the art wall. And of course, well, we probably talk to different types of communities as we go on through our lives. But from what I've seen within my community, there has been a lot of like positivity towards it, and a lot of people wanted to do it before. For example, a lot of people in the back that are currently my friends or family have wanted to do it as well. So I just wanted to light some positivity. Like Sigmund said, there are some backlash to it, but it's very like high retrospect and ratio to the fact of there's a lot of positivity to a low amount of negativity. That is all. Thank you. Any questions?
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Yes.
Want me to say my name? Yep.
Yes, please.
So Susan Phillips, I live in Whitehall, so take that walk every day. Great intention, right? Can appreciate the intention of it, but clearly it's gone off the rails, right? I'm a taxpayer, so I'm not going to walk around it, right? I choose to walk through the wall because it's a nice walk, right? So I haven't heard anything what's going to make it different, right? So, you know, graffiti art can be great, can be beautiful. It's in a lot of cities. But unfortunately, people have chosen to write all over the stuff that actually look nice. And so I haven't heard anything today that's going to change that. So I would just impress upon you to think about that, right? What's going to change 1 month from now than what we see today? Because it's not legible. I don't know who did the 3 down towards the end. We should look them up because no one has seemed to want to touch those, which is great because they're pretty. But the rest is a mess. It's an absolute mess. That's all I have to say.
Hello, my name's Tom Zemer, 902 South Cove in Whitehall. And I agree that the tunnel would be a good place for local art. But I would also agree with the majority that what we've got so far is not a positive for the community. It's pretty negative to newcomer, to visitors that see it and so on. But this last week I was in the UP. I went up to see some people in the Upper Peninsula, and I went to Munising. Munising has an alley in their downtown. It's like the whole length of a city block. And what they've done is they call it Art in the Alley. They've got some beautiful signs at either end of the alley, and they have a system of wires, rack that runs through there. And there's some kind of an authority, maybe it's a local art council, that approves what's going to be permitted to be there. And I think there is actually a contest that this was tied into. And the art that's approved to go up on there is some of it's photography, some of it's painting, some of it appears to be crayon. It's anything like that. Since this alley is exposed to the weather all the time, they transfer it onto a aluminum or stainless steel plate, and then it's attached kind of semi-permanently to the wire. And it is a wonderful thing. I mean, it's none of this, well, some people like it, some people don't. It is a positive to go and see real art that's appealing. There's nothing disgusting, no obscenity. You can do a graffiti type thing if you want on a plate. If it's judged to be good enough, it could be put up there. That's a great alternative to what we've got here. And that's what I would suggest that we consider doing. If anybody's heading up to the UP, go to Munising and wander through their art alley. It's a great feature, something that we could emulate as opposed to emulating what we've got now. Thanks very much.
Anyone else?
Go ahead, Mark.
Yeah, Mark Newhouse, 1421 Warner. Thank you. I want to congratulate Officer Mahoney, 25 years at Dawson. That's awesome.
Thank you.
Secondly, on the deer hunting, I'm an avid deer hunter. I would love to hunt in my backyard. You guys have made it difficult, though, because 6 acres, you have to hunt out of a tree stand. I'm a senior. I don't hunt out of tree stands anymore. But I'm a responsible hunter. Secondly, city property not available. There's tons of city property. All that along Benston Street in there, east of Warner, there's a ton of property. You could hunt in there. You could put 10 guys bow hunting in there and they never see each other. I think you need to look at that also. As far as the wall goes, Mr. Jura accepted responsibility for the wall. He didn't complete his responsibility, in my opinion. Now he's heading off to college. You guys think it's going to get maintained? I don't think so. Thanks.
Kathy Cook. I would like to talk about the art wall. I think the concept is amazing. I've been to several meetings where Avery has presented it, and I thought he did a fabulous job for a senior project. I do believe, if memory serves me correctly, that Amelia Chen was taking the project over, so he wasn't just up and leaving the project. He actually had the forethought of having somebody else keep and maintain it. The biggest complaint that I've heard, and I want to say I've probably heard it from about 20 to 30 people, is when they drive up, they see graffiti on the bridge. So I think that's a problem that can be easily fixed if you paint the bridge, paint the outside, so that when you're driving from Montague, you don't see it. And I think that's an easy fix. The other thoughts that I had is I do agree that it's gone off the rails, that there's more graffiti than there is art, but I think that this community can rally around, and I think that this community is teachable. And something that I think that I would like to see, Avery, if you could work with Naveen Art or the Playhouse Art and possibly offer it up to students, elementary students, and have like a camp or middle school camp or a high school camp, and have them pay a fee through these two things and come out and teach them your art, teach them your vision. And you know, we could even pull it together for the first week of September and have an elementary group of, say, okay, the first 10 kids get to come out. They each get a 2-foot by 3-foot section, and we're gonna teach them how to do this Avery Juris style. We're gonna teach them how to do it Detroit style. We're gonna teach them how to do it and all the other ones, Ypsilanti, Ann Arbor, wherever, you know, it's been successful. And I think that if it's a fresh look of what the expectation is, and then hopefully that will get more people to rally around the art aspect instead of the political, here's a naughty word, here's a Bible verse, here's a naughty word, here's a Bible verse, and it's turned into a war. And to just, you know, not bring attention to that, but bring attention to the art, bring attention to the positive. And I do believe that it is an unrealistic expectation to expect a high schooler to go down there every day and maintain it, even to go down there every week and maintain it. I think we need to have the community support. So if we pulled in adults from the Playhouse, adults from Naveen, and say, okay, here's the sign-up sheet. Every day, it's your responsibility to go down, and if you see something, report it, and have that daily for, I would say, the next 2 months. And then that would send a message that we are watching this, we are proud of this, we do have an expectation. So those are just some of the thoughts that I had. And thank you for your time. Oh, one last thing. Are there any cameras that are angled at it that if once we create a rule that you can't paint on the bridge, are there any cameras angled at the bridge so that if somebody were to violate that, then the city could give them a warning not to paint outside of the tunnel? Thank you.
Anyone else?
Yeah, good evening, everybody. My name is Brandon Heaton. I'm kind of coming to you today as a visitor. I've spent the past couple years living in Muskegon, but I'm an alumni of Whitehall High School. In middle school, I spent a good majority of my life here in Whitehall. I spent many of my afternoons walking up and down the bike trail right through that underpass. And I'd just like to talk about how wonderful I think the art wall has been for the community. Now, I definitely get an outside looking in perspective here, and I also don't want to come off as sticking my nose in somebody else's business or another community's business. Whitehall gave to me, and I see the art wall as a way for the younger generation and whoever, the entire community, to give back. And my sentiment lies in support of that. Now, clearly some issues have been had with the art wall, but Mr. Jura here seems to be doing his due diligence as far as trying to come to solutions to that, be it through having a more consistent, having someone come through there and clean up, and if it comes to it, having the application process. But I'd like to talk about, one, the inherent meaning of art, which to me, art inherently is expression, and expression inherently is one's voice. The art wall is a way for the community to share their voice in a very tangible way. You know, a young kid's going to be able to draw a dinosaur, whatever they want on the wall, and everybody gets to see it. That's their contribution to the community. It's teaching them that, hey, you're welcome here. You are a part of us. And I question what kind of message it would be if it would send to everybody here if the art wall was just decided to be wiped completely. I think it'd be important, and I implore everybody in the room to focus on the good the art wall is doing. Again, bringing the community get together. It brings people in from out of town to look at. It brings me in from out of town to look at. And in general, it's something new. It's something different. It's something nice. Versus the bad that it's causing that, you know, ultimately is not going to be able to be addressed, which is you don't want to walk through it, but you also don't want to walk around it. Thank you.
My name is Mike Chura. I'm Avery's dad, and I just want to start by saying the word inspire. One of the first paintings that I saw him do on the art wall was the word inspire, and after hearing about how I know he was inspired by traveling around the country and seeing different art walls or different areas and seeing the graffiti. I just wanted to take a second to let him know how proud I am of him for doing this. This is an 18-year-old kid, and it's a big deal that he's come before you and he has done all this planning. This is a kid who, I have zero artistic ability. I can fix anything, but I have zero artistic ability, and he's never taken an art class, but all of a sudden he was inspired by this graffiti that we had seen, and he's showing me these different letters and different methods that he can use, and it was just amazing. And I think I'm very proud of him for having the foresight to set up, he knows he's going to school, he can't be here all the time, so he set up this organization, this group with younger kids who are going to kind of work their way up, and they all work together. So I really appreciate that. And I want to take a second to thank you, the council, for giving him a chance to learn and to giving this idea a chance as well. So thank you.
Anyone else? All right, I'd just like to say that I'm very grateful to live in a community that values art so much, and that we're not all in agreement, but it's been a very respectful discussion amongst people, which makes me proud of this community, that we're not all going to agree on everything, but we're trying to work together, and it's a good thing for our community. I think people from the outside are looking at this, and I hope they're proud of us, because I'm proud of this community. So with that, if nothing by anyone else, we're adjourned. Thank you.